Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another episode of NFL Titans versus Bills pregame preview. We have Ken Moore. Let's do this, man. Let's dive into this. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, I'm doing pretty good, man. How's it going? Looks like we may finally have Titans football back if we can get through a few more days.
Exactly.
A few more days of negative tests.
Exactly. The most important thing on the news for the pregame preview is there's no more positive tests so far. Again, it's a Saturday, and that's why when we talked before, I was like, I don't even know if I should make a preview so late yet. I wanted to do it Thursday. I'm like, let's just wait because you never know. So apparently the game's going to be on a Tuesday.
Yeah. Tuesday night football. Who knew? And it looks like it's going to be nationally televised on CBS.
Nice.
So that'll be great exposure, perhaps, for the Titans. I think they're going to get a lot of probably negative pub over the next few days, like they have the last week or so.
Yep.
That's going to be the topic of conversation throughout the broadcast. That's going to happen. Kevin Byard at the press conference today, he talked about how he was disappointed, and he's going to use it as motivation for all the negative things people have been saying around the league about the Titans, and they don't know what they've really been through the last couple of weeks. So it should be interesting Tuesday night. Definitely.
It's crazy how it's almost like we're not the only team that got, positive tests, but we're it's almost like we're the blame. Like we're the black sheep, you get me, of the NFL. Patriots got it. The Jets had a scare. Someone from the Raiders got a positive as well, but they don't talk about that. They just talk about how Tennessee, how apparently they broke protocol and all that stuff. I was talking to Mark about that, and I was just saying how, like, if aren't they supposed to come down with like a punishment on us, supposedly?
Well, they're supposed to come down with a ruling, I guess,
okay.
Right? A ruling, I guess, once they're done with their investigation, they'll come down with a ruling and figure out if any protocols were broken, if any rules were broken, and they'll take it from there. Obviously, we know the Raiders got fined, I think, like $300,000, and their coaches got fined for violations that occurred with them early in the year. So we'll wait and see what happens. I mean, as long as the game's not forfeited, if it's money, it's money. I mean, these teams have enough money to pay fines. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, man. Again, we're playing against the Buffalo Bills, and usually they give us some trouble. I was talking to Mark about it, and I was saying that this is not the Buffalo Bills team we've played in the previous past. They've gotten better on offense. Their defense is legit still, They added Diggs. They added a couple more pieces on the offense. Allen looks like he's playing like an MVP level. Again, I didn't buy in onto him back in the day when we played him last year and the following year. I didn't really think too much of him, but it looks like he's grown into his leadership role as a QB. What are the problems you see Buffalo giving us, man?
Well, for the Titans, we've always struggled with Josh Allen running the football, and we've always struggled with mobile quarterbacks. So Josh Allen presents that threat. They really don't they have Singletary in the backfield. He's a nice running back. He's nothing special. They're kind of like us so far this season. They average less than 4 yards per carry rushing the football. But they're very dynamic now over the top with Stephon Diggs. He gives them a brand new dimension to their offense that they haven't had before, and he's really opened it up for Josh Allen. And that's really going to be a challenge for our secondary that's already been challenged so far this season. And then, of course, Christian Fulton is on the COVID list. We don't know if he'll be back Tuesday for the game. And we haven't been able to get pressure on the quarterback. And we have two defensive tackles, and Jeffrey Simmons and Daquan Jones. Both of our starting tackles are out as of right now, along with Correa. So we're really, really hurting defensively, and you're going up against a team that averages over 30 points a ball game. So if we can't control them and get them off the field, this could get ugly on national TV.
Definitely. And like we said about the COVID list and stuff, do you know who is actually ready off it? Like we said, we talked about Ishmael Wilson could finally have his first debut. He's off. Who else is off the COVID list that you
Yeah,
know?
Ishmael Wilson,
Mm,
Titans actually just put out a report. Ishmael Wilson is off, and Greg Maben, which is a practice squad guy, I believe a
okay.
defensive player, defensive back, if I'm not mistaken, he is off the list as well. So they will get Wilson involved. He may be on the scout team this week because with so many limited players, you have to, you have to practice against what Buffalo's doing.
Yep.
So I think he's mostly going to be a scout team player this week. He may be part of the 53. Look, personally, I'd line him up at nose tackle to
Very good.
replace Jeffrey Simmons. He's big enough to plug the gap. So, see if he can give us some help on that defensive line just to clog up the middle.
Some
But
trickery.
yeah,
Some trickery.
he'll be part of the practice squad beginning tomorrow.
Okay.
If not today, I know the guys are in the building today for the first time in almost 2 weeks. So, but yeah, he will be part of the practices this week leading up to game, and then we'll see if he'll be active on the 53.
Definitely. Again, uh, it'll be nice to finally see our first rounder, show up and stuff like that. But again, you have the COVID list. You have injured players. We don't know if Adoree Jackson's going to be there. Again, we don't know. It's kind of like up in the air because I think they were doing some I think they were just doing like fantasy like lineups and practice, like, oh, who practiced, who didn't practice, if you saw that with Jim Wyatt and stuff like that. So again, it's a very injured and how do I say? I mean, we're not full strength at all, and we're getting to the part of the season where we're playing contenders that are going to be playing for the playoffs. Steelers, Texans. Texans aren't going away. Everyone's saying this and that, but guess what? Last year they were down 0-3 and they came back.
2 years ago they were
2 years,
0-3
right?
and they came back and won the division. Texans are always going to be tough, and they're going to have a renewed energy now with Bill O'Brien gone. There's going to be a new light under that team, a desire to get out and play football. And look, when the Texans and Titans play, it's always, it's always going to be a battle. Any division game, it's always going to be a battle because these teams know each other. They play each other twice a year. The problem with the schedule, if you go look at the schedule now, the Titans have to play 6 games in 4 weeks. That's 6 games in a 30-day stretch. Now, the good news is that 5 of those 6 games are at home, and the one road game is at Cincinnati that is, a young team, young quarterback, young offensive line. But the 5 home games, those are all tough games. You got Buffalo this week. You back it up with Houston on Sunday. Then you got Pittsburgh, Indy, Chicago, who's all of a sudden a contender. They just beat
Indy
Tampa
again.
Monday night.
Mm-hmm.
So you got 5 or 6 really, really tough ball games within a short, compacted schedule, and you're missing 20% of your 53-man roster. So it's really, really, really going to be tough over these next 6 weeks. Originally, looking at the schedule, you say, hey, if we can come out of this stretch 5-1 with all these home games. But now I think as a Titans fan, you'd be happy to go 3-3, try to get to 6-3 for the stretch run.
Definitely. It's going to be difficult, especially like you said, the teams that were playing, they have elite defenses. Steelers, defense, lights out. Buffalo, defense, lights out. Chicago, even though their offense is a little shaky, their defense comes to play. So we usually, like you said, we tend to struggle against teams that are really, really good on defense. So, like I said, hopefully we can eke out a win. It's just very hard, especially since we're so badly damaged and stuff. And I understand people are going to say, well, Titans, and obviously I want the team to win. But realistically, it seems like it's just a tough matchup,
Yeah.
And
I equate it to, if you're driving on a straight pavement, that's kind of
Mm-hmm.
what the Titans were doing the first 3 weeks of the season, just kind of driving on a straight pavement, kind of going through those first 3 games.
Mm-hmm.
Then you stop, right? You stop the car, and for like 2 weeks, you don't start it up, and it's 0 degrees outside. And
Yeah.
then you crank it back up in the middle of winter. And instead of going on a straight pavement, you got to go uphill.
Exactly.
So that's kind of how I look at this part of the season. It's going to be an uphill battle for these guys. But the good news is it's a veteran ball club.
Yep.
Offensively, you still have Derrick Henry. You still got that offensive line. You still got Ryan Tannehill. Hopefully, A.J. Brown can get back. You
That's
still
another.
got Khalif Raymond, and you still got a couple of your tight ends. Unfortunately, Pruitt went on the COVID list as well, so they knocked you down to 2 healthy tight ends, unless they bring someone else up from the practice squad. So you have to try to this particular game. You have to try to run Derrick Henry, 30 plus times. This has to be the week that the offensive line takes
Comes
control
out.
of the
Yeah.
ball game, where we can keep Josh Allen and that offense of Buffalo off the field, and you try to grind out an ugly, muck it up game, and you try to win it, 20-17 or something like that. Gotskowski's got to be on his game,
Yep.
because he may have to try some 45 and 50-yard field goals this week. So it's the Titans have to make this an ugly game. If it's a shootout, I don't see them being well equipped to
Mm-hmm.
win a shootout this week.
Definitely. Again, like you said, you gotta run Derrick Henry, drag that clock down, make sure Allen doesn't get the ball, and just it's gonna be an ugly game, but just kind of milk the clock and milk the time of possession. I think whoever wins on the turnover battle and who has the biggest time of possession will win this game. That's what it comes
Yeah.
down to. So
Yeah, absolutely. And look, special teams can play a huge part. Turnovers can play a huge part. When you're an underdog and you're undermanned, you have to create opportunities to win games, whether that be a kickoff return, a punt return, blocking a punt, blocking a field goal. We won a lot of games last year with special teams. The
Yep.
Kansas City game, the Indianapolis game up at Lucas Oil, where we block the kick, we run it back and put that game out of
The whole
reach.
game,
So
yeah.
the special teams has to come up big in games like this where you create opportunities when you're deficient on your offense and defensive side of the ball.
Definitely. So, of your opinion, Ken, what do you think the final prediction? You think Buffalo sneaks out a victory? You think Titans win? What do you think? What's your prediction, bud?
Yeah, as much as I want to go with Tennessee this week, just everything points towards Buffalo. They've had an extra 2 days of rest, so now they almost have like a week and a half. They have 9 days off. The difference is they've been able to practice and prepare, where the Titans haven't been able to practice and prepare. This has been a distracted football team. They're just getting back into the building. They're only going to have a couple of days to really practice and get ready for this game. I mean, you're not going to really practice on Monday. That's going to be a walkthrough. Today was a walkthrough. You may get some physical contact in on tomorrow. And to go out and play a 60-minute football game against a team that's coming in red hot, unfortunately, my mind tells me I have to lean towards Buffalo in this one. I'm thinking something along the lines of 34-20.
Oof.
I
I have to. You know what?
I hope I'm wrong.
You know what?
I hope I'm wrong, but that's just what my mind.
But you know what? That as a Titans fan, yeah, of course you're gonna root for your team. Of course you want the team, but again, you have to be a little bit realistic. The odds are very against the Titans, and it just like we talked before. I feel like it's a lose-lose situation if we didn't play Buffalo or if we did play against them, especially on a Tuesday night where everyone's going to be watching. And apparently, we're like the new Cowboys. No one likes us anymore. Everyone's like, oh, the Titans do this and Titans do that. And so, again, I hope, don't get me wrong, I'm going to root for them regardless. I hope they win, but I have a feeling that we're just not going to overcome this. And it's going to be, I believe it's going to be 24-17. It might be a close game, but I just, like you said, Buffalo is just turning that corner. Their Allen is finding Diggs, and they're getting that connection. They're getting that flow, and I watched them. I forgot last week when they played. Who did they play? And I was just like, I think they played Vegas, right?
Yeah, they played the Raiders.
And I actually watched them. I'm like, oh man, we might be in trouble because it looks like they look for real. At first, I didn't buy them at all. I was like, Buffalo, they're gonna fall. They look like a complete football team right now. So
right, and they have a real good offensive line, and really that's the key right there for me. Simmons and Jones being out in the middle of that defensive line, and we already ranked near the bottom defensively. And you just can't afford to lose that many quality NFL players. At some point, it catches up to you.
It will.
What you hope is that you can get out of this game healthy, right?
Yeah.
And then 5 days later, you have to turn around and play Houston, and you just want to be mentally and physically ready to play that football game. So for me, yeah, we would love to have the W, but for me, it's getting out of this game healthy, getting ready for the next 5 games that we have in this short, compacted schedule, and see if we can get out of this stretch. Like I said, worst 3-3. If we can get out of this 3-3, 4-2, 5-1 would be gravy.
Definitely.
Just get out of this
in that groove.
Yeah, we're 6-3 at the end of this stretch, and the big game in this stretch is 5 weeks from now against Indy, because that looks like that's going to be our main competition in the division. The Texans and Jaguars play each other this week, so that's going to be another loss for one of those teams, which will pretty much end whoever loses that game. Their season's done.
Definitely.
So it's gonna come down to the Titans and Indy. Indy has a tough game in Cleveland. Cleveland's 3-1 on the season. They're looking like they're
looking good too.
Rhythm now.
Yep.
So we're big Browns fans tomorrow on Sunday.
Browns all the way.
Dog pound.
All day.
Go. Yeah, dog pound, let's go. But yeah, if we lose this game to Buffalo, yeah, I mean, will it suck? Yes, it'll suck. But look, we're not going to go 16-0, right? Nobody, only one team has done that.
Dolphins,
NFL history. So if we take the L, we take the L. But let's hope the team plays well. Let's hope they're competitive. If they can squeak out a victory, great. But I just want them to come out of this game healthy and stay off the COVID list. Please.
Exactly. There you go, guys. Again, we love the Titans, but we're realistic as well. And again, I'm going to be cheering Tuesday night. You bet your ass I'm going to be there. Tomorrow, the Browns all the way. I don't even know, Jacksonville or Texans. I feel like Jacksonville. I want Jacksonville to win just because I think that's where Texans will start getting that momentum. You don't want them to get that momentum already. They got that one win already. You want to stop that right there. So
yeah, because they beat Jacksonville and they turn around and beat us. Then they're right back in the race.
Right in there.
Yeah. So you don't want that team getting any momentum. So yeah, I feel you. Yeah, I think I'll be going with the Jags tomorrow.
There we go. All right, thank you so much, Ken. Guys, I hope you guys liked the Bills versus Titans pregame preview. Stay tuned for next week. Thank you so much, Ken, for joining. Always a pleasure, buddy. Have a good one, man. Tighten up.
All right. Thanks, man. Tighten up.